Wondering what to do with your Christmas tree after the holidays? Stay tuned. This morning's guest will fill you in. Coming up next on Carolina People. Good morning. Welcome to Carolina People. This morning we're at the Myrtle Beach Herald. We're focused on community newspapers and the Solid Waste Authority. And we're visiting with its director, Ricky Hardee. Good morning, Ricky.
Good morning. Good to see you.
Thanks so much for coming in right after Christmas, right as we're leading into 2005 this week.
Good holidays.
Were you here in town for Christmas?
Sure. I live in Loris, and I was in town and had family over and looking forward to a good New Year.
Now, when you have family over for Christmas, you have a lot of family here in the area? Is it a big crowd? Or
Not a lot of immediate family. I have wife, son, daughter-in-law, brother, sister-in-law. I got one living aunt, so that's it.
And they're all in Horry County?
All in Horry County.
Son of a gun. You know, I think, Ricky, reading a little bit about you, I think I saw you spend some time in Robeson County.
Spent 4 years at University of North Carolina at Pembroke. I graduated there in '72. Came back home and started working at actually at Tyson Sign Company. So
Is that right?
I guess advertising was in my blood early on, and worked there for a while, and then moved over to Hardee Manufacturing Company, where I stayed a long time and involved in sales and marketing from there.
Did you study advertising and marketing there at UNC Pembroke?
I majored in business, and one of the emphasis was in marketing.
Now, when you say Hardee Manufacturing, is there a family tie in there, or is it the same spelling?
Somewhere, but not enough to claim. I didn't own any of the company. My family was not the company that started that.
Right.
But I enjoyed my time there. They're a great company now. They're in the Mount Vernon area now, big farm equipment manufacturer.
Oh, yeah. They're still up on that road as I go to Loris and take a shortcut down. Is it Red
Bluff?
Yeah. I dated a woman for a while in Loris and enjoyed making those trips over there.
It's a good area.
It really is.
It's part of the county that a lot of people on this side of the waterway never get to. But Horry County is a very big county. It's very diverse. When you take Conway, Loris, Ainer, it's a big change from Myrtle Beach to Myrtle Beach Surfside.
Oh yeah, and it's not a bad trip, Ricky.
No, it's a good trip.
31 and 22.
Yeah, Grissom. You take Grissom. I fly some, and you leave the airport from my house about 30 minutes now, right up Robert Grissom, across 31, up 22.
Yeah.
And I think the geographical center of the county, the population center of the county now, is certainly gradually marching toward the western part of the county.
Absolutely.
That's the only available land that's just left, so to speak.
That side of the
certainly not to the east, anyway.
No, it surely isn't. You think about that aspect. Isn't Horry the largest county?
It's the largest county in the state of South Carolina. In fact, it's the largest county east of the Mississippi.
Oh, come on.
This county is bigger than the state of Rhode Island.
Is that right? The county of Horry is large. Of course, at your time in Robeson County, that's another huge county.
That is one of the biggest counties in North Carolina.
And those counties look very similar. You know, if you turn them around a little bit, they almost look the same.
They actually, if I'm correct in this, I think they actually meet in Fair Bluff, which is in your viewing area at the Lumber River.
Right.
Several counties come together there. Horry County, Columbus County, Robeson, Dillon, Marion comes in there.
That's exactly.
So that's sort of a meeting point. But I enjoyed my time at UNCP. They're just going to put a football program in, I heard. I got an alumni newsletter, and they're going to start, I guess, in Coastal Carolina's footprint.
I know.
Hopefully it's successful, but time will tell.
That'll be a different conference, but golly, if they have anywhere a scintilla of the success that Coastal Carolina's had, they should be through the roof.
Yeah, I tell you, Coastal's been a big asset to the county.
You know, Joe Fisher is with us tomorrow, and I think in talking to her last week, it was exciting hearing her talk about Coach Bennett as the honorary chair for this year's Horry County Walk America for the March at Dimes, and the excitement about seeing him out in the community now. I was in Conway 2 weeks ago and seeing him coming out of Coppers, and to see him really spreading around in the community, being always available.
Well, I think a university brings a sense of togetherness to a community. Conway being the county seat, it was probably very appropriate that the founding fathers put the university there. It's football programs tend to bring people back together. It makes a sense of belonging. It's something that everybody can rally around. It's certainly a big asset. Coastal is a great university. Dr. Engel and his team put together a good staff. They're a big recycling partner of ours at the Solid Waste Authority. They have an excellent cardboard program, an excellent business recycling, paper, office paper, and so they're a good part of the team.
This is such an apropos time. Obviously, part of the thrill about having you in is to talk about community newspapers. You used the word community a second ago. We want to talk about Grinding the Greens and the Solid Waste Authority.
Sure.
You know, it was right at 2 months ago, on Thursday the 21st of October and Friday the 22nd, that Steve Robertson was sitting in that chair as we were talking about the publisher of the Orion Independent, who subsequently bought your paper about 5.5 years ago, the Laura Scene. So we want to get into giving viewers a sense of what it's like serving a community, being the daily, both the watchdog as well as the community servant. But obviously now with Christmas just a couple days ago, share with viewers what's going on with Grinding the Greens and what's going on at the Solid Waste Authority.
Well, Grinding the Greens is a program that the Solid Waste Authority has to complete the recycling loop. You certainly enjoy your trees, and one of the final benefits is to grind them and give them back to the community. The Solid Waste Authority, in conjunction with Santee Cooper, they're our partner in this, has strategic locations that you can drop those trees off. You can drop them off at any of our 22 convenience centers, as well as 10th Avenue and Surfside, North Myrtle Beach has locations. There's some promos coming out shortly that will tell you where to take them. We actually grind part of them, and Davy Tree Company grinds them. They give their time and service, and it's free. When the drop-off date is ended, the citizens can come and bring their trucks or their baskets and pick it up, and it's free. And it's a great way to return to Mother Earth what we enjoyed through the holiday season.
Absolutely.
Last year we probably processed about 9,000 trees.
Oh, come on.
Yeah.
9,000.
Well, there's that's a lot of homes, and people like green trees, and so that's a lot of trees, but it's a good project.
Boy, not that your folks are already not busy enough right after the Christmas season with all the wrapping papers thrown around to then have them out processing 9,000 trees, Ricky.
This is our definitely busy time of the year. Of course, as you can imagine, May to September with the tourists is a busy time at the authority, but the week after Christmas is one of the busiest times we have. In fact, Sunday will be probably one of the busiest 4 or 5 days we have all year.
Oh, yeah.
Cardboard, wrapping paper.
Oh, yeah.
What mother had left from the leftovers that you don't want anymore. And so it's a busy time. Our people are fully prepared. We're ready for it. You having gone through this, you get to the point you know what to expect,
right.
Or you think you do anyway.
Yeah.
And of course we operate the kind of little-known public utility or infrastructure that is sort of one of the things I call out of sight, out of mind. You use it and you don't realize where it ends up, and that's what we do. Oh, yeah. Somebody asked me one time about the waste stream, and I said, well, I don't create the waste stream. I just handle the waste stream. It's the product that I handle. So whatever you create, we will process.
That is fascinating, Ricky, when you think about that. I mean, you think about that aspect, out of sight, out of mind, and you really want to make it that seamless transition for folks.
It's just like our partner Santee Cooper. When you came to this building this morning and you flipped the switch, you never realized who was at Monk's Corner doing what.
That's right.
Or at Granger plant. And I think that's the way we are, is people enjoy their holidays and the wrapping and the packaging and all, and they never realize where it goes. And the only thing the Solid Waste Authority has, or any landfill, is space. That's our product. And the more ways that we can save space is the longer we can make the landfill last and stay more efficient. So we're all about saving space. That's why Grinding of the Greens is a great program, is because we don't have to put that product in the landfill. If we can put it in a form that somebody can reuse it, then we save that space. And that's what we're about, is saving space in an environmentally friendly manner.
That is invaluable, Ricky, when we think about that. And, of course, one of the great aspects it would be tours, so folks could have a feel of that. You all open tours all the time.
Sure.
For a viewer who needs to run off to work right now, even though it's right after Christmas, a lot of folks are still going back into the office. What's the best number for someone to call to learn a little about the Solid Waste Authority, learn about tours, or to get more of those updated information about grinding the greens?
They can call the main office at 347-1651, and the receptionist will be glad to help them or transfer them to a department head for more information.
Okay, 843-347-1651. Okay, that's fantastic.
Sure.
You know, it's so fascinating. Back 6-7 years ago, I was through Leadership Grand Strand through the Myrtle Beach Area Chamber of Commerce, and big group, 30 or so folks who went up to y'all's landfill there on 905.
Sure.
It's fascinating.
Actually, on Highway 90.
Highway 90, I'm sorry. On Highway 90, it was fascinating taking a tour through the facility and actually going a good ways out. There's a lot out there.
The Solid Waste Authority sits on a footprint of acreage of some 700 plus acres. I don't think people realize how big it is, but we basically have three components that make a landfill up, and that is MSW, which is municipal solid waste. That's the food waste. Then we have a C&D landfill, or disposal area, which is construction and demolition. That, some people say, well, what is that? And if this building was torn down that we're sitting in, that's construction and demolition. So that's what it is. If your home was torn down. So that's where, and then we have what we call our yard waste and composting area. We don't put any clean wood, land clearing, trimmings from your flowers, your limbs, leaves. We grind it on site and actually put it in rows and windrow it and sell it back to the public as compost for $10 a ton.
Is that
$10
a ton?
An average pickup truck won't put $20 in the truck, just the truck body. Yeah. So it's very reasonable. It's the way we give back to the community, but it goes back to the space aspect. If we divert it from the landfill and we process it and complete the recycling loop, then we don't have it in the landfill. And so that's the mindset that we operate on.
You've got some great stuff. I saw that this morning, the easy home composting, and of course there's a good bit on your website, solidwasteauthority.org.
Great.
It is invaluable.
Right. And we have two educational specialists. Be glad to come out and talk to groups, teach them how to compost, how to become a business recycling partner. We have almost 800 business recycling partners now in the county. The service is free. We come to your business and we'll do a waste evaluation, tell you how to save money. Everything that you dispose of does not have to end up in the landfill. We provide cardboard containers. We provide office paper, pick up computer papers, that type of thing, junk mail. Sorry for the U.S. Post Office, but you know that's what it is. And so we provide all those services: aluminum cans from the break areas, plastic cans. So all those things we can tell you how to save money.
Talking trash recycling contests. Another thing you all do with one of our sister or competitive stations, WPDE News Channel 15.
We certainly do.
Very popular.
It's a very educational program. This is in its 5th year. The board has made a commitment to bring recycling into the home. And so through a joint venture with TV15, as well as a complete endorsement of the Horry County school system, we target 4th graders because we think they're at an age that they're very impressionable. They can understand why recycling is important. They understand about the environment. They're going through curriculums in the school that's teaching them that in sciences. And so what's happened with the Talking Trash campaign is you take a young boy or girl that's 8 to 9 years old, and it's a 10-year commitment plan on our part. And so in 10 years, they're adults. And if you've trained them, they understand how to recycle when they set their own home up.
Right.
One of the great benefits that happened out of Talking Trash was the fact that the communities became involved because it is a competition. We give computers and cash prizes and their own television, and we spend a lot of money promoting it. But one of the things that happened that we didn't anticipate was the community became involved because my son called you, Uncle Greg, to get your papers, and he called his neighbor and all. And so, you know, when you go and you say, why do you need papers, or why do you need aluminum cans, or why do you need plastic, they find out. Well, then it becomes something they think about when they go to our convenience centers, and they separate things when they don't need them for the schools. So recycling rate in the county is on an uprise.
What a perfect age to go after, too.
Great.
So smart, thinking about fourth graders. Such a perfect transitional period.
Well, it's a good age group, and we provide tours. We pay for the buses and the environment and the substitute teacher, and we bring kids out. Just send them about 2.5 hours in our multipurpose room, showing them some video, classroom demonstrations, actually taking them on the landfill. And so it's a great thing.
That's the 843-347-1651. Folks can call to learn about that. Obviously, they can call WPD. They can call to learn about the business recycling, the easy home composting. You've used that word community a number of times, and not because it ties into community newspapers, but it is apropos. It was a good while back that you and your family started the Laura scene. Am I correct?
Well, yes, sir, that's right. My wife, Marty, and, of course, my son, Jonathan, was involved in it, and I was at the forerunner to the Laura scene, which was the Laura Sentinel. And when we bought it, the owners didn't want to sell the Sentinel for whatever reason, so we thought scene was very appropriate, and we ran it very successfully for, I guess, 8-9 years.
Is that right?
I was actually at the Laura Sentinel in 1984. And so when I left in 99, I guess I'd been there 15 plus years.
15 years in community newspapers.
Yep.
Had you been with any community newspapers prior to the Sentinel?
No, but my publishing or ownership or whatever started with a farm newspaper called Carolina Farmer, which is now in 14 states. And so I was in charge of the South Carolina edition of Carolina Farmer.
Right.
And so left Carolina Farmer, got an opportunity to come, quote, back home, got into the general manager's position at the Sentinel, and from there to owning the Laura scene. And it was a great experience. Somebody used to say, well, how do you like owning a newspaper? And I said, well, I don't own it, I just run it. And they said, well, who owns it? I said, well, the 6,000 people that get it every week own it.
Yeah.
Because the ownership of the paper is the viewers, the readers, or the viewers. I mean, that's who it is. And they're very protective. They will tell you very quickly things they like and they don't like, and they're not bashful about coming in on Wednesday morning and saying, I don't like this, or you were off base, or you were right. And they tell you the good side as well. It was a great experience. I wouldn't trade it for anything. I think it helped me with my people skills. I think it helped me understand marketing. That's why the Solid Waste Authority was an easy thing for me to go to when I came to the conclusion that space is what we have, and that's what we market. If you will always look at our information, that's what we talk about. It always comes back to space. Recycling trees, or recycling it at schools or homes or convenience centers, or talking trash. It comes back to space. But community newspapers is like nothing else. Marty and I had talked about one day selling the paper and doing something different, because I had been in printing or publishing in one form or another for about 20 years.
That's right.
That's a long time. And when the opportunity came up for Steve Robertson, his wife Cheryl, his family, to buy the paper, I've known them a long time, and I said, you know, they have the same values and the concepts of community newspaper that I do, and I was very concerned about how the paper was going to carry on.
Transition.
And so, you know, price is always important, but I think it was more important to us, or as equally as important, that it was somebody that knew the area and knew Loris, and it would be a hometown newspaper.
That's right. And then they've definitely, I know, worked
and
hard to make that
they
happen.
Definitely are an award-winning group. Several people that were on my staff are still on Steve's staff. Just a great group of people, and it's made a very smooth transition. And I think I think Loris is very blessed to have its own community newspaper.
Am I correct, Ricky, that there are 3 community newspapers that serve Loris? The Loris Times, the Loris Scene, and then you've got one out of Columbus County. I think the Whiteville.
That goes back to days when I think Mark Garner and Horace Carter owned the forerunner to the Sun News. At one time, they owned basically all the papers in the county.
Oh, wow.
So the Tabor City Tribune has always had some crossover. I mean, Loris is 6 miles from Tabor.
Right.
People shop in both towns.
Oh, yeah.
People advertise in both towns. It's a market to itself. So
yeah.
I really didn't see that as competition.
Yeah.
We sort of had that, quote, gentleman's agreement. North Myrtle Beach Times has a Loris edition, but as the county grew and North Myrtle Beach started backing up Highway 9, people in Loris like to shop North Myrtle Beach.
Right.
And people in North Myrtle Beach like to shop Loris because at one time all the car dealerships were in Loris.
Is that
so
right?
it was, I don't really see that as a competitive type situation. I saw it as a plus because it broaden what people in Loris could have access to.
Oh, yeah, very definitely. Of course, we see Tim Bullard now at the North Myrtle Beach Times, who's at the Herald for a long time, who just does so much there, really helps make that paper. And I know Polly Lohman's been in the business a long, long time. You've got, I'm sure, a good relationship with all the publishers in the marketplace. But when you think about community newspapers and the big differences between a community newspaper and a daily newspaper, is that, one of the aspects is...
Well, I think I think community newspapers are more sensitive to community. I always found myself examining how this story is going to help the community. It was never my intent to hurt Loris. I always believed in writing the facts. People are generally to the point they can tell right from wrong. One interesting thing that not many people know, but I never wrote an editorial. I always believed that my stories were factual. They interpreted the situation. The truth was there. And my readers could decide on their own that I didn't need to tell them what Ricky Hardee thought. So I never wrote an editorial. A lot of people have asked me why, and that's why, is I think that your readers, if you're in touch with your community, your readers know enough about the truth that they will be able to tell what the facts are in any given situation.
And the Loris Scene truly reaches the entire community. Is it called a total market?
It's a total market newspaper. It was a new concept when we started it. The marketplace was going to where businesses wanted to know that every household had a paper.
Right.
And so there's, I think there's now about 6,600, don't know exact circulation.
Right, sure.
But I know we were mailing over 6,000.
Wow.
Loris is a big market when you think about that. That's not people, that's homes. If you've got 4-point or that proverbial 5-point whatever person's in a home, I mean, that's a lot of people.
Yeah, 30,000.
Loris is a big marketplace. It's a big market there. There's a lot of banking there, a lot of industry now with the Commerce Center. There's a hospital.
A lot of old money there as well.
Well, a lot of old money, a lot of old families. People in the western part of the county were the people who basically at one time owned what's at the beach. So there's old, well-established families there. Some of the founding people in Loris were people who founded Coastal Carolina University, Mr. Prince, the Grahams, the Blantons. So Loris has been involved with the growth of this county for years.
It is a fascinating area, and for folks who haven't visited, they really need to make that trip. I enjoyed that once a week or a couple times a week, driving over there for the 3 or so months that I was making regular trips. A
very good downtown business district. Shopping, you can walk very freely. Loris has gone through a $1 million downtown revitalization now. Street lights, all the planters of flowers in place. It's a great look. If you haven't been to Loris in, say, 5 years, you probably won't recognize Loris if you see it today. It's a very aggressive community. The Mayor David Studemeyer, and his council, they've done a great job in making Loris sort of the hub of the western part of the county.
That's right. Ricky, when you think about that aspect of almost a decade of owning the Loris Scene or having bought the Sentinel and making it the Loris Scene, What can you put into words your biggest sense of accomplishment over that almost decade of owning the paper? It sounds like, as you said, reporting the facts, not worried about writing editorial, not trying to persuade, but instead just letting folks know what's happening in the community.
I think the biggest challenge that publishers or owners have with a community newspaper is that they need to realize they're the heartbeat of the community. You got outside business interests coming to locate in the area. One of the things they pick up is the paper. If everything you see on the front page is always negative, they perceive the town to be negative. They perceive the community to be negative. So I think you have to be very mindful of how you choose your stories. Report the truth. But the truth is welcome everywhere. Even people from outside know that. So I was always very mindful of the character that I presented in my paper every week. I wanted it to be positive. I wanted it to be good for Loris, factual if it needed to be, always, but always present a good positive image, because you never know when somebody's trying to relocate an area. They pick the paper up and they say, this is not for me. There's just too much of this or what. So you never know your impact on a town. Not that, I'm sure the paper, when Marty and I owned it, had a lot to do with the growth in that area. It had to, just from being the community paper. But I think the whole western part of the county was in a growth mode, and that helped the paper grow.
Absolutely.
And Steve is taking it to another level.
That's right. Thanks so much for being with us this morning, Ricky. Sorry we've run out of time.
I'm glad to be here.
Absolutely. Stay tuned to more Carolina People with Ricky Hardee coming up next. It's a number you need right now, 843-347-1651. When you hear that term green living, what do you think about? Probably camping or the outdoors. But green living can begin indoors. There's a lot of aspects, and recycling's a key one. Think about them, and obviously grinding the greens. There's so much going on now. Talk trash. The Solid Waste Authority wants you to talk trash. You know, it's that experience being in the print business. You know where it goes. You know where it can end in the trash can, in the toilet. It can end out in the front yard. But need to take the time to save that space. You heard him talking about preserving space. Space is one of the few things, even in the largest county in the state, possibly the largest county east of the Mississippi, that we still are running out of space. We need to conserve that space. Take the time to do that. Call the Solid Waste Authority to learn out how you can. You heard it from a newspaper guy who knows what to do with that paper.